Lael, are you ready or what?
Carver asked while standing in front of Aiken with his arms folded. He was not amused and was beginning to tap his foot when Lael waved his hands in the air and made an apologetic expression.
Yes. I'm sorry for the delay. I was making sure I really had everything.
Good. We'll be off in 5. Damn OCD.
Carver shook his head and walked out of the office. Lael always had to be thoroughly sure that he had everything he needed, which was something that would often make his colleagues pick on him. Lael was preparing himself for the biggest mission he had since he began to work as a detective. Although he was going to investigate an island which he didn't have much information about, the team would have to be accompanied by military soldiers, which made him anxious. He was given some basic training on self-defense and weaponry in case it was needed. Lael was wary about the whole mission. He certainly didn't understand what the real aim of the mission was, and they were not given many details about it. He wanted to refuse to work under these circumstances, but he understood that he would be making a huge mistake by doing so. He sighed and mentally reviewed the main aspects outlined by Adam Carver.
All we have to do is investigate the island in order to find out whether or not there are people or animals living there. But in the case that we do come across inhabitants, and we're met with aggression that can't be resolved by talking things out, assuming that they can even speak the same language as us, and they prove dangerously hostile, we have permission to shoot them down.
He gulped. He was against violence and thought that playing by those rules were against his principles and his nature. Lael Aiken grabbed everything and hurried outside where everyone was waiting.
I don't remember if I asked you, but have you traveled outside the country before?
Gore asked with a smile on his face. Lael shook his head and smiled as well.
You haven't. And actually, no.
He shrugged as Gore made a surprised look. They were now walking towards the cargo ship that would get them to the island.
I've never really had the chance to.
Oh, we should totally go to Brazil on vacations,
Damon said enthusiastically. Damon Sullivan was 30 years old and had short, light brown hair and green eyes. He was taller than Lael, and usually liked to lean on his shoulder to make him feel short. He always possessed a bubbly sense of humor and also liked to make dirty jokes that were way too inappropriate for their work. When he wasn't making jokes, he usually was trying to impersonate someone, which would get a laugh from the entire department, even Carver. Nonetheless, he was a reliable professional.
Why Brazil, though? Why can't it be Italy?
Oh, why Brazil though? Why Brazil though?
Carver looked in their direction.
Have you seen those amazing beaches? And can we talk about the weather, or the whole country itself?
Oh, come on. We all know you want to go there because of the women. Don't make excuses.
Lael grinned and Gore started to laugh. Damon shook his head, also laughing.
Damn you, you know me well. In that case, let's go find some Brazilian girls for us.
Martha Devas interrupted.
Oh, why am I out of this trip?
Like Damon, she was part of Carver's team along with Julian and Lael. She was short, but that didn't influence the fact that in training, she could knock them down with little effort. She had short blonde hair and blue eyes, just like Lael, although she was older than him by 4 years. They were not only physically similar, but they even had similar tastes and likings, including women, which gave them a strong brother-sister connection.
Martha!
Damon straightened his back and continued to speak.
Sorry, of course you can come too.
Really?
Yeah, why not? But it's going to be hard to coordinate our days off in order to match them.
Lael continued. They were now close to the entrance of the ship, ready to hop in.
You can pretend you're sick while Julian pretends he's grieving, and Martha and I are on our days off.
Martha laughed and pointed behind him.
Are you planning to bail out on your job, Sullivan?
No, of course not, sir.
Damon shuffled clumsily and smiled. Carver shook his head and laughed.
Being around soldiers doesn't mean that you're one of them. Drop the act. You're in your 30s, not your 20s.
He smacked Damon's back jokingly with more strength than necessary, causing him to lose a bit of his balance.
Attention, please. We will now enter the special cargo ship, and there are some rules and precautions that you should be aware of. First...
Are you nervous?
Martha nudged Lael's arm with her elbow inconspicuously as she asked him in a whisper, looking to the lieutenant.
A little bit. You?
I'm terrified.
She smiled and glanced at him.
I have a bad feeling about this mission.
So do I. I don't believe that this mission is going to be a peaceful one. I mean, if it was, why would we be bringing along military soldiers with us?
The lieutenant was now explaining what should be done in a situation of a malfunction in the ship.
Just a precaution, they said.
Devas shook her head slightly with discontent.
Yeah, right. We weren't even fully informed about all the details of this mission.
Finally, the lieutenant finished speaking and asked them to get inside the ship.
True. We gotta do whatever we have to do.
She sighed now and patted his arm, unknowingly walking towards her death.